The bride had been waiting for 45 minutes. Adiz stood at the altar of St. Peter's Cathedral in Lagos. Her mother's life savings wrapped around her in white lace and tulle. 500 guests filled the pews. Emeka's family, his business associates, society people she'd never met, but who'd come to witness a wealthy heir marry a market trader's daughter. She could feel their eyes on her, judging, waiting. The priest checked his watch for the third time. Perhaps we should call him again. Adiz's mother, Mama Adiz, squeezed her hand from the front pew. He's coming in any traffic in Lagos, you know how it is. But Adiz knew, deep in her bones, she knew. The whispers had started 10 minutes ago. Now they were growing louder, less discreet. Emeka's groomsmen shifted uncomfortably, checking their phones, avoiding eye contact. His best man had disappeared 15 minutes ago and hadn't returned. 1 hour past the ceremony's start time. The cathedral's ornate beauty, hand-carved pews, stained glass windows, marble floors, felt like a magnificent stage for her public humiliation. Every naira spent on flowers, on decorations, on making this day perfect, now mocked her. Emeka's mother, Mama Emeka, rose from her seat. The crowd went quiet. She walked to the altar with the measured steps of someone who knew exactly what she was doing, carrying a sealed envelope. "He wanted me to give you this," she said, her voice loud enough for front rows to hear. No sympathy, no apology, just cold delivery of a message. Adiz's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside, a letter and a check for 2 million Nigerian nairas. She read the letter once, then again, unable to believe the words. "Adiz, I'm sorry. I can't go through with this. Last night at the bachelor party, my family and business partners sat me down. They made me face reality. You're wonderful, kind, beautiful, everything I said you were, but you come from nothing. Your father sells spare parts in ABA. Your mother is a market woman. Senator Okafor was at the party. He's investing 500 million Nigerian nairas in our new real estate development. He took me aside and said if I marry a market girl, he'll pull out. 500 million naira. Adiz. That's not just money. That's my family's future, our business expansion, everything we've worked for. My mother explained how this marriage would damage our family's reputation. My business partners agreed. Having a wife from your background would hurt my credibility in our circles. Doors would close. Deals would fall through. I can't sacrifice everything for love. I'm not strong enough. I wish I were, but I'm not. The check is for your trouble. Please forgive me. I'm taking the honeymoon trip to Dubai alone to clear my head. Someone will collect my things from your apartment. I'm sorry. Emeka. The cathedral spun. Adiz gripped the altar rail to stay standing. Well, Mama Emeka's voice cut through her shock. Are you going to stand there all day? Adiz looked up at the woman, who would have been her mother-in-law. He's not coming. No, he's not. My son finally saw sense. Mama Emeka gestured to the check. Take the money and go back to ABA. You don't belong in Lagos. This was always going to end badly. I told Emeka from the start, you can take a girl out of the market, but you can't take the market out of a girl. The guests were standing now, craning to see, hear, understand the drama unfolding. Adiz looked at the check. 2 million naira. Payment for 3 years of love. Compensation for public humiliation. The price Emeka put on breaking her heart in front of 500 people. She tore it in half. Then quarters. She let the pieces fall like confetti at Mama Emeka's expensive shoes. Keep your money, Adiz said, her voice stronger than she felt. I don't need your pity payment, but I want you to remember this moment. Remember the woman you humiliated today. Remember how you treated me like I was worthless because I came from nothing. She turned to face the congregation. 500 faces stared back, some sympathetic, most eager for gossip, a few openly smirking. I'm sorry for wasting your time, Adiz announced, her voice echoing in the cathedral. The groom has decided I'm not worth 500 million naira. Apparently, a senator's investment is more valuable than the woman who loved him. She walked down the aisle, head high despite the tears streaming down her face. ruining the makeup that had taken 2 hours to perfect. Her mother and 2 sisters scrambled to follow, their own faces wet with tears and shame. Outside the cathedral, camera flashes exploded. Society bloggers had been waiting, sensing drama. Adiz, how does it feel to be left at the altar? Did you know he was going to leave you? Is it true he chose a business deal over marrying you? Adiz kept walking toward the car her uncle had borrowed for the wedding. Her wedding dress, bought with her mother's entire savings from fabric sales, dragged on the dusty Lego street. Her youngest sister, Chidinma, sobbed, "Everyone is going to laugh at us." Her mother held Adiz's face in her hands. "Let them laugh now, and we'll see who laughs last." But as they drove away from St. Peter's Cathedral, Adiz couldn't imagine ever laughing again. By evening, she was viral. #AbandonedBride trending on Nigerian Twitter. Photos of her tear-stained face outside the cathedral. Memes. Commentary. She really thought she could marry into that family face with tears of joy. Market girl tried to climb too high. Fell flat skull. Emeka dodged a gold digger bullet. 500 million Nigerian nairas. Love. Smart business moved TBH. Some defended her. Most didn't. Lego society loved a fallen Cinderella story. That night in ABA, back in her mother's small house, Adiz lay in her childhood bed still, wearing the wedding dress. She couldn't bring herself to take it off yet. Taking it off meant accepting this was real. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from people she barely knew, offering support, while clearly fishing for details to gossip about. Former friends from Lagos suddenly checking in, their curiosity thinly veiled. One message stood out, from Emeka's number. "I'm sorry. I hope you understand someday. You'll be fine. You're strong." She blocked the number. Through the thin walls, she could hear her mother crying in the kitchen, not for the wedding, for the money wasted, for her daughter's broken heart, for the shame their family would carry. Adiz looked at her reflection in the small mirror across the room. 26 years old, abandoned at the altar, viral across Nigerian social media. The market girl who tried to marry above her station and been publicly humiliated for her audacity. She remembered Mama Emeka's words, "You don't belong in Lagos." The words had been meant to crush her, to send her home defeated, accepting her place. Instead, they lit something else, something cold and determined. "You're right," Adiz whispered to her reflection. "I don't belong in Lagos yet, but I will." She stood up, unzipped the wedding dress, let it fall to the floor. Tomorrow she would sell it, use that money to start something, build something, become something. They humiliated her because she was poor, because she came from nothing, because she wasn't good enough for their world. Fine, she'd show them what nothing could become. But tonight, she let herself break. Let herself cry for the man she'd loved, the future she'd imagined, the humiliation she'd endured. Tomorrow, she'd start building her revenge. It wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't be immediate, but it would be complete. 3 months after the altar, Adiz still couldn't walk through ABA Market without hearing the whispers. That's her, the one who was left at the altar in Lagos. "I heard he left her for a senator's daughter." She should have known better than to aim so high. Her younger sisters faced it worse. Chidinma came home from school crying at least once a week. "They call me leftover sister," she sobbed. "They say our family is cursed, that no man will want to marry any of us now because of what happened to you." Adiz held her sister, fury burning in her chest, not at the children who bullied Chidinma. They'd learned that cruelty from their parents, but at the situation, at Emeka, at the society that had made her family a cautionary tale. The wedding dress had sold for 150,000 Nigerian nairas, a fraction of what her mother had paid, but enough to settle some debts. The borrowed car had been returned. The wedding vendors had been paid with borrowed money that would take years to repay. Her mother never complained. But Adiz saw the way Mama Adiz's shoulders had stooped, the way she worked longer hours at her fabric stall, the way she sometimes looked at Adiz with a mixture of love and something that might have been regret. Regret that Adiz had ever met Emeka. Regret that they dared to dream beyond their station. Adee started working at her mother's stall, selling encre fabrics and lace to market women and boutique owners. She had a business administration degree from Abia State University, a degree Emika's family had mocked as not a real education. But what use was it now? She was a girl abandoned at the altar. Damaged goods. You could apply to companies, her mother suggested gently. Your degree, your intelligence. Who would hire me, Mama? I'm a viral joke. You Google my name, and the first thing that comes up is abandoned bride. No company in Lagos will touch me. So she sold fabrics, measured out yards of encre, bargained with customers, came home exhausted and empty. The depression crept in slowly, then all at once. Some mornings she couldn't get out of bed. The thought of facing the market, the whispers, the pitying looks. It was too much. Her mother forced her out anyway. You stay in that bed, you let them win. Get up, fight. One humid afternoon, a woman approached the stall, well-dressed, elegant, carrying herself with the confidence of someone who belonged to a different world than the crowded ABA market. I'm looking for quality encre, she said, flipping through the fabrics. I'm a fashion designer. I need unique patterns for a collection. Adee's eye for fabric, learned from years helping her mother, kicked in. She pulled out specific pieces, explaining the origins of the patterns, suggesting combinations the designer hadn't considered. The woman, who introduced herself as Nkechi, was impressed. You have talent. Have you ever considered designing instead of just selling? Adee's hesitated. I sketched some things once. For fun. Show me. Adee's pulled out her phone, scrolling the sketches she'd drawn during her darkest nights after the altar. Designs that fused traditional Nigerian fabrics with modern cuts. Encre blazers, asymmetrical lace gowns, fusion pieces that honor tradition while embracing contemporary style. Nkechi studied each sketch. These are good, really good. You're wasting your talent selling when you should be creating. After Nkechi left with 50,000 Nigerian nairas worth of fabric, Adee's couldn't stop thinking about her words. That night, she sketched, not to distract from pain, but with purpose. She spent the next 6 months designing obsessively. Every piece told a story. Every stitch was her proving she was more than what they said she was. Her first collection was small. 10 pieces she'd sewn herself on her mother's old machine. She approached local boutiques in ABA and Umuahia. Rejection after rejection. You have no name. We don't know if these will sell. Come back when you have a reputation. She pivoted. If traditional routes were closed, she'd make her own path. She created an Instagram account at Adee's Originals. Her first post, a photo of herself in one of her designs, standing in the same ABA market where people whisper about her failure. The caption, they said I came from nothing. They were right. Now watch me build everything from that nothing. 12 likes, mostly family and friends supporting her. She kept posting. Every day, her designs, her story, her journey. Meanwhile, in Lagos, Emika's life continued without disruption. She saw it on social media, him at parties, business events, society gatherings. The abandoned wedding had become a funny anecdote he told at bars. A mutual acquaintance who still followed her sent a screenshot of his post. That time I almost married the wrong person and dodged a bullet. Sometimes your family knows best. Grinning face with sweat. The comments praise him for his wisdom and good sense. 2 years after leaving her at the altar, Emika married Chioma Okafor, Senator Okafor's daughter, the same senator whose 500 million Nigerian nairas investment Emika had chosen over Adee's. The wedding was everything theirs was supposed to be. Lavish, perfect, covered by every society blog and magazine. Perfect match. Business heir weds political dynasty. A marriage made in high society heaven. Adee saw the photos. Emika looking handsome in his traditional attire. Chioma beautiful and elegant, both smiling for cameras. She felt nothing, no heartbreak, no jealousy, just cold determination. By then, her Instagram had grown to 50,000 followers. Her designs were selling. She'd moved from her mother's market stall to a small workshop where she employed 5 women from her community. She paid them fairly, taught them skills, built them up the way no one had built her up. One of her employees, Amara, asked one day, "Why do you work so hard, madam? You barely sleep. You're always designing, posting, hustling." Adiz looked up from her sketchbook. "Because 2 years ago, a man left me at an altar and told me I wasn't worth 500 million naira. I'm going to be worth 5 billion. Then he can spend the rest of his life doing the math on what he threw away." Amara grinned. "That's the energy I'm here for." 3 years after the altar, Adiz's designs caught the attention of Zainab Williams, a UK-based Nigerian fashion blogger with 2 million followers. Zainab ordered a custom piece, an Ankara blazer with modern tailoring. When she received it, she posted a raving review. "Best African fashion discovery of the year. At Adiz Originals is a designer to watch. International quality, authentic African soul. Fire." Overnight, Adiz's Instagram exploded. 200,000 followers in a week. Orders flooding in from London, New York, Accra, Johannesburg. She couldn't keep up. Couldn't fulfill orders fast enough. That's when she got the email that changed everything. Subject: investment opportunity. Adiz Originals. A British-Nigerian investor named Olu Falad had seen her viral moment, tracked her growth, and wanted to meet. They met in a Lagos hotel lobby. Olu was direct. "I've watched you build this from nothing. Your designs are exceptional. Your brand story is compelling. Your hustle is undeniable. I want to invest 100 million naira to scale Adiz Originals globally. Professional production, international distribution, Fashion Week circuits. The works." Adiz stared at him. 100 million naira? That's 100 million Nigerian nairas more than what you started with. What do you say? She thought about the market stall, the altar, the torn check, the viral humiliation. She thought about Emeka choosing 500 million Nigerian nairas over her. "I say let's build an empire." Wait, from a market stall to a 100 Nigerian nairas million investment, and Emeka married the senator's daughter while she was building her empire. If you're ready to see her glow up, smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion because the next chapter shows her Fashion Week debut and the beginning of Emeka's downfall. Comment: would you have torn up that 2 million Nigerian nairas check? What would you have done? Hit that notification bell. Her comeback is about to get spectacular. 5 years after standing at that altar in her wedding dress, Adiz stood on a different stage in a different dress. The Arise Fashion Week runway in Lagos. Spotlights, cameras, industry professionals filling every seat. Her collection was titled Resilience. Each piece told a story. The opening look, an Ankara power suit that transformed traditional fabric into boardroom authority. The middle pieces, evening gowns that merged Igbo traditional elements with contemporary silhouettes. But the finale piece stopped everyone cold. A wedding dress, but not traditional white. It was gold, constructed from repurposed lace and Ankara, transformed into something entirely new. The dress she'd worn to the altar had been white. This one was gold. This is what you do with broken dreams. Her designer statement read in the program. You don't throw them away. You melt them down and forge something stronger. The applause was thunderous. Backstage, orders poured in. International boutiques, celebrity stylists, political wives. Everyone wanted Adiz Originals. But one moment stood above all others. A production company approached her. "We're documenting emerging African designers for an international series. We'd like to feature your journey. From market stall to this runway. From that viral moment to this triumph." They wanted to tell her story. The abandonment, the rise, everything. "Will you include the altar?" she asked. "Only if you want us to. But that's where your power is. You didn't hide from what happened. You transformed it." She agreed. The documentary released 6 months later. From nothing, the Adiz story. It went viral globally. Not as mockery this time, as inspiration. Her Instagram grew to 3 million followers. Forbes Africa reached out for their 30 Under 30 issue. The article read, at 26, Adiz Okafor was abandoned at her wedding altar, viral across Nigerian social media as the market girl who'd aimed too high. At 31, she's worth an estimated 2 billion Nigerian nairas. With flagship stores in London and New York, dressed celebrities from 3 continents, and built an empire from the ashes of public humiliation. Her message, they can't stop you if you don't stop yourself. Meanwhile, cracks appeared in Emeka's perfect life. The 500 million Nigerian nairas from Senator Okafor, the investment he'd chosen over Adiz, had been mismanaged. The real estate development plagued by delays, corruption investigations, cost overruns. His marriage to Chioma looked perfect in photos. Behind closed doors, it was anything but. Chioma had never loved him. She'd married for status, for the business connections, for the lifestyle. Emeka had married for the senator's money and political access. Neither had married for love. Chioma was smart, calculating. While Emeka focused on salvaging his failing business, she was planning her exit. She'd been cheating for years. First with one of Emeka's business partners, then with a politician her father introduced her to, then with Emeka's own cousin. But she was strategic about it. Hired private investigators to document Emeka's business failures, his neglect of their marriage, his long work hours. Build a case that she was a suffering wife driven to seek comfort elsewhere by an absent husband. She moved money quietly. Offshore accounts. Property in her name alone. Prepared her escape while Emeka thought everything was fine. 5 years into their marriage, when Emeka's business was visibly collapsing, Chioma made her move. She arranged for Emeka to discover her with another man, staged it perfectly, maximized his humiliation, then filed for divorce immediately. Your business failures drove me away, she claimed in legal documents. Years of emotional neglect, financial instability. I deserve compensation for suffering through this marriage. Emeka was blindsided, but I gave you everything. The lifestyle, the status. You gave me a failing business and a bad investment. I'm cutting my losses. Her father, Senator Okafor, publicly supported her. My daughter suffered in that marriage with a failing businessman. She deserves better. The divorce was brutal. Chioma's lawyers, funded by her senator father, were ruthless. Nigerian law plus her manufactured evidence plus political influence meant she walked away with 250 million Nigerian nairas, half of what Emeka had left before the total collapse. The irony was perfect. Emeka had chosen 500 million Nigerian nairas over love with Adiz. Now Chioma was taking 250 million Nigerian nairas and leaving him without love. Within 6 months of the divorce, Chioma remarried a wealthy politician, even richer than Emeka had ever been. She posted wedding photos on Instagram, radiant in designer everything. The caption, finally found real happiness. Ring sparkles. Emeka saw the Forbes feature about Adiz the same week his divorce was finalized. He showed his mother. I left her at the altar. Now look at her. Mama Emeka, older now and facing her own health problems, looked at the magazine cover. Adiz in her own design, confident, successful, beautiful, worth billions. And look at what you chose instead, she said quietly. That senator's daughter took half your money and left you. Emeka scrolled through Adiz's Instagram. 3 million followers. Stores in London, New York, Lagos opening soon. Celebrity clients. Magazine covers. Every post showed growth, success, confidence. He looked at his own life. Failed business, failed marriage, failed investments. The 500 million Nigerian nairas that was supposed to make everything worth it, gone, mismanaged into nothing. Chioma had taken another 250 million Nigerian nairas in the divorce. He'd chosen money over Adiz. Now he had neither money nor love. Meanwhile, Adiz didn't think about him at all. She was too busy building. Her flagship London store opened to massive press coverage. Nigerian designer brings authentic African fashion to international stage. She employed over 200 women now, most from humble backgrounds like hers. She paid them well, trained them professionally, invested in their futures. Why do you care so much about the workers? A journalist asked during an interview. Because I was them. I know what it's like to be dismissed because of where you come from. I'm building an empire that lifts people up, not one that steps on them to rise. The quote went viral. She was invited to speak at business conferences, fashion forums, women's empowerment events. Every speech included her story. The altar, the abandonment, the rise. The man who left me there thought he was ending my story, she'd say. He was actually just finishing the prologue. Everything that mattered came after. 7 years after the altar, Adiz was ready to return to Lagos permanently, not as a humiliated bride who'd left in a borrowed car. As a billionaire designer who'd conquered international markets, she was opening a flagship Nigerian store. In Lekki, 200 million Nigerian Naira's investment. The launch party would be the social event of the year. And Emeka, broke, divorced, desperate, would hear about it and realize exactly what he'd thrown away. He chose 500 Nigerian Naira's million over her and lost it all. His wife took 250 Nigerian Naira's million and left him. Meanwhile, Adiz is worth 2 billion Nigerian Nairas, with stores in 3 countries. If this karma is satisfying, smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion, because the next chapter shows her triumphant Lagos return and his face when he sees what she became. Comment. Was Chioma's revenge on Emeka too cruel or perfectly justified? Should Adiz forgive him? Hit that notification bell. The confrontation is coming. The Rolls Royce pulled up to the Lekki flagship store opening at exactly 6 p.m. Adiz stepped out first. Custom Adiz Originals gown, burgundy and gold ochre transformed into haute couture. Hair swept up elegantly. Jewelry understated but expensive. Confidence radiating from every pore. Then her husband emerged from the car. Chidi Okonkwo, a successful architect who'd met Adiz 3 years ago when she was still building her brand. He'd fallen in love with her drive before he knew about her growing wealth. Ready? He asked, offering his arm. I've been ready for 7 years. Their daughters came next. Zara, age 5, and Amara, age 3, in matching Adiz Originals dresses, giggling as photographers called their names. The scene was perfect. Billionaire designer, successful husband, beautiful children. The family Lagos society said she'd never have because she'd been left at the altar. The same society bloggers who'd mocked her abandonment now fought for interviews. Adiz, how does it feel to return to Lagos as one of Africa's richest self-made women? It feels like coming home victorious, she said, smiling for cameras while Chidi held her daughters. And your beautiful family. Tell us about your husband. Chidi stepped forward, comfortable in the spotlight. I'm the lucky one. I met Adiz when she was still hustling, building her brand from nothing. I fell in love with her work ethic, her kindness, her vision. The billions came later. The woman I married, she was already priceless. The bloggers ate it up. The love story, the partnership, the family. Inside the store, Lagos's elite mingled. Politicians, celebrities, business moguls. Everyone who was anyone, including Emeka. He hadn't been invited, but he'd come anyway, hoping to, what? Apologize? Reconnect? He didn't even know. 8 years had not been kind to him. His business had collapsed completely. Chioma had divorced him and taken half his remaining wealth. His mother's health was failing. His friends had abandoned him when the money dried up. He stood in the corner of Adiz's flagship store, Nigerian Naira 200 million invested in this space alone, wearing a suit that had seen better days, watching her work the room. She was magnificent, confident, successful, surrounded by people who genuinely respected her. Nothing like the crying girl he'd left at that altar. Then he saw her husband, her children, the family she'd built. The photographer called them together for a photo. Adiz with Chidi and their daughters, all laughing, clearly in love, clearly happy. Emeka felt something crack inside his chest. That could have been him. Should have been him. He'd chosen 500 million Nigerian Nairas. Lost it all. Ended up with nothing. She'd started with nothing. Built billions. And found genuine love in the process. After the formal speeches and toasts, Emeka worked up the courage to approach. Adiz. She turned. For a moment, didn't recognize him. Then her eyes registered. Emeka, flat, emotionless, like she was acknowledging a stranger. Congratulations. This is amazing. You're amazing. I always knew you were special. Did you? Not a question. A statement dripping with ice. I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you. Look at what you became. Her husband, Chitty, appeared protective. Darling, the girls are asking for you. Is this man bothering you? No, he's no one. Just someone I used to know. Adiz, please. Can we talk? Privately? She looked at him fully for the first time. Saw the worn suit, the desperation, the broken man he'd become. Fine. 5 minutes. They stepped into her private office, all glass and modern luxury. Her designs displayed on the walls, awards on shelves, success everywhere. I made a mistake. Emeka started. The biggest mistake of my life. Leaving you at that altar. 7 years ago. Yes, I remember. I was young, weak. My family pressured me. You were 28, hardly a child. And yes, your family pressured you. And you caved. You chose money over me. Over us. I know. And I've regretted it every day since. Especially now, seeing what you become. You're incredible. And I threw that away. You didn't throw away what I become. Emeka, you threw away who I was. That market girl you deemed not worth 500 million naira. That's who you rejected. This billionaire designer? I built her from the ashes of your rejection. You don't get to be proud of her. I loved you. You loved me until it cost you something. That's not love. That's convenience. What about forgiveness? You're successful now, happy. Can't you forgive me? Adiz laughed. Actually laughed. I forgave you years ago, Emeka. Holding on to anger was holding me back. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean you get a place in my life. I just thought maybe we could talk. Catch up. I'm going through a divorce. I know. Chioma took you for half of everything and remarried someone richer. I read about it. Poetic, isn't it? You chose Senator Okafor's investment over me. Then his daughter chose another man's money over you. That's cruel. No, that's karma. Cruelty was abandoning your fiancé at an altar in front of 500 people via a letter delivered by your mother. Karma is watching that choice destroy your life while building mine. Through the glass office wall, they could see Chitty play with their daughters. Emeka followed her gaze. Your family, they seem happy. We are, genuinely, not for social media, not for status. Actually, truly happy. Chitty loved me when I was still hustling in a small workshop. He supports my dreams, co-parents our children, treats me like a partner. Everything you could never do. I could. No, you couldn't. You're still the same weak man who caved to pressure 7 years ago. You're here now because you're broke and desperate, hoping I'll save you, not because you actually love me. You love what I become, the wealth, the status, the access, the same things you loved about Chioma. Look how that turned out. I'm asking for a chance. And I'm saying no, definitively, finally, no, but... Emeka, look at my life. I have a husband who adores me. 3 beautiful children. Oh, I'm pregnant with our 3rd. I have a 5 billion naira fashion empire. Stores in 15 countries. Respect, success, genuine happiness. What exactly do you think you could add to that? The question hung in the air. I loved you, he whispered. I really did. I was just weak. You're still weak. That's why you're here. Not for me, for what I can give you. But I'm done giving you anything. Not my time, not my energy. Certainly not my forgiveness for show. You're already forgiven, but you're also completely irrelevant to my life now. She walked to the office door, opened it. Dismissal. My family is waiting. I suggest you leave before security escorts you out. Emeka stood there, watching her walk away, back to her husband, her children, her success, her happiness, everything he'd had and reached 7 years ago. Everything he'd thrown away for money, that was now gone. He left the flagship store, walking past the Rolls-Royce, past the photographers, past the life he could have had. Inside, Adiz picked up her youngest daughter, kissed her husband, and didn't think about Emeka again. She had a business to run, a family to love, an empire to build. The past was finally completely buried. She has it all: a loving husband, beautiful kids, and a 5 billion Nigerian nairas empire, while he's broke, divorced, and desperate. If you're satisfied with this karma, smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion, because the final chapter shows the ultimate victory in his final attempt at redemption. Comment: did she handle that confrontation perfectly, or should she have said more? What would you have said to him? Hit that notification bell. The ending is going to be epic. 8 years after the altar. The invitation had surprised everyone. Billionaire designer Adiz Okonkwo acquires St. Peter's Cathedral property for community center and fashion school. The same church where she'd been abandoned would become her legacy project. "You're turning the church into a school?" her mother asked, crying happy tears. "Not just any school, Mama. A fashion school for underprivileged girls. Free training, free materials, job placement guarantee. This is where my old life ended. Now it's where hundreds of young women's dreams will begin." The opening ceremony was massive. Government officials, international press, fashion industry leaders, celebrities. But the seats of honor were reserved for different people. Her mother, Mama Adiz, in traditional attire, crying with pride. Her sisters, now successful professionals Adiz had put through university. Her employees, 200 women she'd lifted from poverty to skilled careers. And her family, her husband Chidi, holding their newborn son, their daughter Zara, 6, and Amara, 4, playing with their baby brother. A family built on genuine love, not social climbing. Adiz stood at the podium, in the exact spot where she'd stood in a wedding dress 8 years ago, and told her story to a completely different audience. "I stood here once before," she began, her voice steady, "waiting for a man who never came, who chose money over love, who taught me the hardest lesson I ever learned, that sometimes rejection is redirection." The audience was silent, hanging on every word. That day, I was humiliated in front of 500 people. I went viral as a cautionary tale. The market girl who'd aimed too high. The abandoned bride. The joke. But rejection didn't destroy me. It freed me. Freed me to discover my own strength. To build something entirely my own. To find real love. To create this. She gestured to the transformed cathedral, now a state-of-the-art training facility. This building was my rock bottom. Now it's my triumph. And every girl who walks through these doors will learn what I learned. Your worth isn't determined by who rejects you. It's determined by who you choose to become after. The applause was thunderous. After the ceremony, in the crowd, Emeka stood watching. He'd come without invitation, drawn by morbid curiosity or desperate hope. He couldn't tell which anymore. He watched Adiz's family gather around her, her husband kissing her, lifting their newborn son, her daughters dancing around them, demanding attention, her mother blessing them all. Pure, genuine joy, everything he'd been too weak to choose. As the crowd dispersed, Emeka approached one final time. "Adiz!" She turned, her husband immediately protective, but she touched Chidi's arm. "It's fine. Give me a moment." Chidi took the children aside, watchful. "You came," Adiz said flatly. "I had to see it. The cathedral. What you've done with it. What did you think? That I'd turn it into a monument to my pain? I turned it into opportunity for others. That's the difference between us. Emeka, you saw obstacles and ran. I saw obstacles and built. I know I don't deserve anything from you. I know I'm the villain in your success story. But I need you to know I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. And seeing you now, with your family, your success, your happiness, I'm glad you found all this. Even if it means I lost everything. You didn't lose everything, Emeka. You threw it away. There's a difference. I loved you. You loved the idea of me. The convenient, accommodating version that didn't cost you anything. But real love, the kind I have with Chitty, that's about choosing each other when it's hard, about sacrifice and partnership. You don't know what that is. I do now. Too late, but I understand now. Adiz looked at him, really looked, saw the broken man he'd become, the failed business, the divorce, the loneliness. She felt nothing, no satisfaction in his suffering, no vindication, just a quiet peace of someone who'd moved so far past their pain that their tormentor had become irrelevant. I hope you find happiness eventually, she said and meant it. Real happiness, not the kind bought with status or money. I hope you learn what love actually means. I hope you grow. Is there any chance? No, none. Not for romance, not for friendship, not for business. We're done. Emeka, we've been done for 8 years. This is just me finally saying goodbye in a way that gives us both closure. What if I'd chosen differently that day? What if I'd married you? Adiz smiled. Then I never would have become this. I wouldn't have built my empire from desperate determination. I wouldn't have met Chitty. Wouldn't have my children. Wouldn't have learned my own strength. Your rejection was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm grateful for it now. Grateful? Completely. You thought leaving me at that altar would destroy me. Instead, you freed me to become someone you could never diminish. Thank you for being too weak to choose me. It forced me to choose myself. She turned to walk away, back to her family. Adiz, wait. She paused. Can I just say you won? Completely. Undeniably. You won. She looked back at him one last time. This was never about winning against you, Emeka. It was about winning for myself. That's another thing you never understood. She walked away, into her husband's arms, scooping up her daughters, cooing at her son. Emeka watched them leave. The perfect family. The billionaire life. The genuine happiness. Everything he'd had in reach. Everything he'd chosen 500 million Nigerian nairas over. Money he no longer had. Love he never found again. 3 months later, Adiz appeared on the cover of Time magazine Africa edition. The designer who turned rejection into revolution. The photo showed her entire family. Chitty, their 3 children. Adiz radiating joy. The article detailed her journey. Market stall to international runways. Alter abandonment to billionaire empire. Her quotes resonated globally. They said I came from nothing. They were right. But they failed to understand that nothing is a perfect foundation, because from nothing, you can build anything. The man who left me thought he was choosing his future. He chose my freedom instead. Real love chose me when I had nothing. That's how I know it's real. The article noted her marriage, her children, her foundation, helping women recover from public humiliation. Her fashion empire, now worth 5 billion Nigerian nairas, with stores in 15 countries. It mentioned Emeka only once, without naming him. The man who abandoned her at the altar due to family pressure is reportedly bankrupt and alone, his marriage having ended when his ex-wife divorced him for someone wealthier, a perfect mirror of his own choice years earlier. The final scene of Adiz's story wasn't in a boardroom or on a runway. It was at home. A beautiful house in Lekki, not a mansion, but a warm family home filled with children's laughter and genuine love. Dinner time. Chaos and joy. Chitty cooking. Adiz helping their eldest with homework. The baby in a high chair. The middle child dancing to music from her tablet. Her daughter Zara asked, "Mama, why do you keep that picture in your office?" The sad one. The picture of her in the wedding dress, mascara running, walking out of the cathedral. Because my love, that sad day opened the door to everything beautiful in my life now. Your daddy, you, your sisters, your brother, my business, everything. Sometimes the worst moments are actually the beginning of the best chapters. Chitty added, "Your mama taught me that real love isn't about fancy weddings or society approval. It's about choosing each other every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." The family gathered for dinner. Grace said, food shared, laughter abundant. Meanwhile, in a small apartment in Surulere, Emeka scrolled through his phone. Adiz's Time magazine cover filled his screen. Her perfect family. her billion-naira empire, her genuine smile. He zoomed in on her husband's face. The way Chitty looked at her, the way real love looked. He'd never looked at her that way. He'd loved her conditionally, for what she could do for his image, how she made him feel, not for who she actually was. And she'd found someone who loved her unconditionally, who'd built an empire alongside her, who'd given her the family and happiness she deserved. Emeka set down his phone and stared at the ceiling. Chioma, his ex-wife, had posted photos earlier that day. Her lavish life with her new wealthy husband. Designer everything. Exotic vacations. Perfect photos. But if you looked closely, really looked, you could see it in her eyes. The same transactional coldness she'd had with Emeka. Another marriage built on money, not love. Only Adiz had both, wealth and genuine happiness. Because she'd built her life on truth, on hard work, on real love, while he'd built everything on transactions. And transactions always end when the money runs out. The woman who was too poor to marry had become too rich, too happy, too complete to care about the man who'd abandoned her. And that final indifference was the ultimate victory. She'd won, not by destroying him, but by outgrowing him so completely that his existence no longer registered in her world. From nothing, she'd built everything. And everything she'd built was real. She has everything. 5 billion Nigerian nairas, loving family, 3 beautiful kids, genuine happiness, and he's alone eating dinner scrolling through her success. This is the ultimate karma. If you're satisfied with this ending, smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion for more stories, proving that living well is the best revenge. Comment, what was the most satisfying part of revenge? The billions? The family? The happiness? All of it. Share this with someone who needs to know that rejection is just redirection to something better. Hit that notification bell for more inspiring African tales of triumph.